A sex scandal puts the International Monetary Fund on the front page. I'm Alan Barton. Stand by for everything you ever wanted to know about the IMF in less than 5 minutes. Here we go. All right, joining me in PJ TV studios for this Facebook flash round, Alex Epstein of the Ayn Rand Center for Individual Rights and Terry Jones of Investors Business Daily. Terry, who are these people running the IMF, and what does the IMF do, and what's the point of it?
Well, it's a special class of global bureaucrats who run it, basically, and they're appointed by their home countries. And traditionally, IMF has a European head, and the World Bank has an American head. But the IMF was founded after World War II basically to support the gold standard. It would make loans to countries that came up short on their foreign exchange and were facing a massive devaluation. And that was what it was intended to manage. And once we went off the gold standard in 1971, it no longer had a reason to exist. And yet, exist it still does.
Yes, and has fancy budgets for their hotel rooms. Alex, the stated mission of the IMF is to foster global monetary cooperation, secure financial stability, facilitate international trade, promote high employment, and sustain economic growth, reduce poverty around the world. How is it doing with that? How could any institution deal with that? Since it seems contradictory by its nature.
I don't think there's a reason for it to exist, as Terry mentioned. I mean, it shouldn't exist, and it's basically just a global bunch of, I don't know, I was going to say bailout police. It's a bailout something. I mean, it's just a bailout organization that encourages bad behaviors. To the extent that any of those are legitimate goals, they're pursued via governments that are financially responsible and that have economic freedom. And the IMF discourages those in many ways, and certainly not necessary for them.
Terry, how have they actually done in terms of this bailout function that they've adopted? I mean, when you've got the Asian currency crisis, you've had these various crises, even going way before 2008. Have they been effective in solving them?
No, they have a terrible track record, and a number of studies have shown that pretty conclusively. So, I mean, they don't really have much of an argument for their existence. If you go anywhere from, Venezuela, Brazil, Argentina, Tanzania, the nations of Eastern Europe today, in Western Europe, the Asian tigers, they've all had run-ins with the IMF. The IMF typically likes to give you a really healthy dose of devaluation and higher taxes as a way out of your economic troubles. And typically what happens is the economy gets worse rather than better. And they go in and they strengthen the elites and the government-centered people who are in power at the expense of average people. So by and large, the experience with the IMF has been a very negative one.
What did Ms. Rand say about this kind of thing in terms of global collaboration? You don't see it a lot in her books because she's really addressing a domestic situation and applying a moral philosophy to really an American system. But did she have any thoughts about this kind of global cooperation to try to solve problems?
Well, I mean, if you include it under these sort of general global organizations like the UN, absolutely. And it was the idea that you're getting this invalid collection of responsible, good, peace-loving, freedom-loving nations, and often really bad nations. There's no rationale, there's no objective rationale for doing that. And what you want is private treaties and private contracts. And she didn't talk about this specifically with the IMF, but with financial issues, we have trillion-dollar financial markets. If there's a country, it can borrow money if it's a legitimate credit risk. There's no reason at all why you have to have an IMF, and there are many reasons not to.
All right, gentlemen, that's all the time we have. See how much more educated you are on the IMF? Right there. Viewers, if you don't think your friends are getting the right media from their social media, make sure you let them know about PJ TV. Hit that share button. Tell the world. For Alex and Terry, I'm Alan Barton. Thanks for watching.